Hey everybody, Rebels of Cloud9 here, and bringing you guys today another new build. Today I'm going to be building, or I should say this time, I'm going to be building um, this kit here from Accurate Miniatures. This is the SB2U-3 Vindicator. It was a American dive bomber, and it's a really cool kit. This is a Battle of Midway special edition. And I actually picked this up at a thrift store quite a few years ago. I'm waiting to learn how to properly build this kit for the weathering that I want to do. And a while ago I found out a way how to do it, so I'm going to be building it. I'm pretty excited about this one. For those of you unfamiliar, Accurate Miniatures is, I'm not exactly sure where they're based. This is their logo here at the top. I've heard that they were a Korean company. But that they had like a couple offices. One was in the States, one was in the UK. I'm not exactly sure 100% the details of the company, but they made a bunch of very nice, very extremely well detailed 48 scale model kits. And you know, the quality is right up there with Tamiya's 48 scale. They did a lot of really nice models. Unfortunately, a couple years ago, the company went under. You know, a lot of people were really sad by this because they made such really nice, beautiful kits. Like the B25, they made all the other variants of the B25. Good news is Academy picked up the molds, and what's really cool is if you look on the Academy kits, it will usually say, have this little triangle on there and say it's an Accurate Miniatures kit, because people still want them, and this still holds that nice of a reputation that people want the kits. So I'm glad at least someone is still producing them. So let's take a look inside this kit here. It's a pretty big box, it's pretty tall. So first thing we got in here is the instructions, and I will get to these in a bit. So when I bought this kit, like I said, I got it at a thrift store, and the only reason that I actually, bought it was because, well, some of the parts were missing off the sprues, and I was a little nervous. They're inside the box. Someone who was a modeler cut them off the sprues and kind of cleaned them up a bit, and so that's actually the only reason why I kept them. It wasn't some kid that was twisting them off inside the store or something like that. So yeah, let's take a look here. Let me just spin this around here. So this is just a bunch of the interior. There's just a lot of cockpit detail in here to paint, and it's going to look really great when it's all done. Like, here's the front of the cockpit. Here's the lifeboat there, inflatable life raft, I guess. And yeah, like this is all for the side walling and stuff like that. It's just incredibly detailed. There's a lot of dedication put into here, into all these little parts. So it's going to be a lot of fun detailing. Here you can see some of the pieces are missing. So what's pretty cool is you get the option of the open or closed cowl flaps. They should be cut out a little bit. They're still molded as like one round piece, but that's nitpicking. And you can also, it doesn't show you how to do it in the instructions, but you can have the wings folded if you want. I've seen a couple people on the internet doing it, and it looks pretty cool. And here we have the next sprue. This has all the bombs. These are drop tanks. We've got the ailerons there. We've got part of the cowling. Again, really, really nice detail. Lots of great. Here we have just the first part of one of the fuselage halves. Exterior detailing is just incredible. We have recessed panel lines, and then we have this great look of the canvas on the back here. The inside has a lot of detail in it. It looks great. Same thing goes with the other side here. Here we have 2005 made in Korea there on the wings. You can also cut this part out here if you want to have them lowered, which looks pretty darn nice. Again, more detail here. And yeah, the top wings. Some kind of glue or stickiness, some kind of residue on some of these pieces I'll have to clean up, but that's really, really minor. So again, here's the bottom of the fuselage. So let me just move these pieces over here. So This is really cool. Inside the bottom of the box, there's this beautiful picture. You could basically take this out and frame it. It's got the aircraft how I want to paint it. You know, it's all weathered up and distressed, and it looks really nice how they've done it here. And then it gives you a bit about the pilots there at the Battle of Midway. So what's really cool though is you take this out of the bottom, and there's goodies here. So this is really cool. Here we have the clear parts, and we can have the canopy open or closed. We have a bunch of the interior detail parts for the consoles and all that stuff. There's the windows for the bottom of the floor, and they're a little fuzzy, but I think I can polish them up to be a little more clear. This is really just a nice addition. They give you this set of Photo-Etch seatbelts from Eduard. You have to assemble them and paint them yourself, so they're not the pre-painted kind, but it's nice that they include these in the kit nonetheless. And we have this decal sheet here. Really curious to see how these are going to play. I'm assuming they're going to be pretty darn good. I'm not having any worries about these at all. Stencil detail looks really good. They did a nice job in that. And this is really cool too. So this is maskings for the whole aircraft, so you don't have to do it yourself. Not all of them come with the maskings, but a lot of the accurate miniature kits do. I hope that they fit. That's the only problem I'm worried about, is whether or not they'll actually fit onto the model. So we'll have to wait and see. Might have to make my own, you never know. So taking a look at the instructions are kind of the only disappointing part. They're kind of hand drawn, and they did a nice job, but there's a lot of reading to go along into it. You know, they didn't just say, okay, paint this red or this, so you gotta kind of figure it out as you're going along. It's not a big deal, it's just, yeah, I kind of wish I didn't have to do all that extra, you know, going back and forth between them all. But I don't think I'll have any problems with these instructions. They look, you know, pretty basic. They'll just take a little bit of getting used to. What's also kind of cool here is on the last page, they have this little history here. This is really cool, and I really wish that more companies would do stuff like this. This is the history of the aircraft, of what they discovered when they were looking up this reference material for this Vindicator. And here at the top it says, since no photos of White 2, that's the 2 right there, are known to exist, color and markings are an educated guess based on the information currently available. So they go in there and they talk about all the stuff that they do in here. And I just have to say it was really cool. A little while ago, about 2 weeks ago, I was looking up information on these planes, and I typed in Midway Vindicator, and I actually found a picture of this plane. It was really cool. I could just barely see this number 2 on there. So, you know, it just goes to show the power of the internet nowadays. You never know what you're going to find on whatever subject that you're working on. It says in here that the star roundels here used to have the red dot in them, but they've been painted over. In the picture I found no such evidence of that. You could clearly see that these were just bright white stars. They had nothing painted on them. This is surgical tape on top of the canvas. I can't remember what they say that they used it for here. It does say, oh yeah, to counter the effects of heat, sunlight, salt, air, and to hold the decaying fabric to the fuselage structure, medical tape was wrapped around the fuselage and also around the fuselage to keep it in place. So they placed this white tape over it. Didn't have that. Didn't have any of that stuff on it. So it's kind of cool. I get, you know, getting to look at that actual instructions and seeing what's going on in there. So I'm gonna build it. I'm gonna build it based just straight out of the kit. What's on this little, you know, plaque here. Except I'm not gonna put the red dots on there. Mainly because I feel I could use those on another project for whatever, you know, if I have some kind of Japanese project. You know, these are perfect, you know, Marus. So I'm just gonna use these. And I think I'm going to paint the tail colors on there myself instead of using this. So yeah, I'm going to go get started building this canopy. This is going to be a kind of a bigger project, you know, lots of detail work in here. So hopefully I'll keep it entertaining. And I gotta go clean my airbrush because there's gonna be lots of airbrushing involved for this one. So let's get building this Vindicator. Alright everybody, I had a kind of a daunting task in a way. This kit has a lot of like sidewall structures that you have to build, and they're very fragile and delicate. And so what I decided to do was to cut them all out, put on any little components that needed to go on there, and then I proceeded to paint them all green. This is Tamiya, just basic Cockpit green, XF71. I use it all the time. So I just took my airbrush and went to town on the entire thing here so I could get all these pieces painted. So they look pretty good. I'm quite happy with them. There was a little bit of cleaning to do on some of the pieces. Very curious as soon as I get it all painted. Like, there's lots of things I need to start painting on here. You can see I already started painting the life raft in the back. That's going to need another 2 or 3 coats of yellow. There's like this little box right here. This needs to be painted black. That needs to be black. This needs to be black. So there's lots. And that's basically what tonight and the rest of today I'm going to be doing. Is just spending my time painting on all the little pieces in here. But it was nice to have it all airbrushed and it's dead and it's done. I don't have to worry about it anymore. Oops, forgot one. There we go. So for the inside here of the aircraft though, I painted it silver. This is what you're supposed to paint it apparently. You're supposed to paint the whole thing silver. But I know that someone said that they based this off of the real one. There's one real, one of these planes left, one Vindicator left, where they actually have it cut open on the side. So like there's a panel here and a panel here and it's all opened up. You can see inside it. It's pretty cool. Someone said in a forum that those colors were inaccurate. And, I don't quite like all the silver and then silver and silver. It's kind of hard to see what it is you're trying to display, especially in 48 scale. So I decided to make this part silver and then these parts here make them green. So they look kind of like this, you know, once they're sitting inside. This one I believe goes here. So now what happens is your eye pops out at these green pieces because there's silver behind it. If this was all silver, some of these spars right here, the bars in here, they would just disappear into the silver background. So now that I've made them both different colors, your eye catches them and notices them more. So like I said, I have to go around detailing a lot of it. The other thing I have to do is paint the seat belts, the Photo-Etch seat belts. These are my next project. I'm actually going to go and paint these next. I don't know what color I'm going to paint them yet. Haven't exactly decided. I think I'm going to use Buff XF57. It's a very nice color. It's a beige color. It matches very close to the seat belts that they actually have in this bird. So what I did for those, and this is a cool product, I bought this a couple years ago. This is Mr. Hobby Mr. Metal Primer. I really like this stuff. It's just this kind of a glue. You paint it on with just a paintbrush. I clean it with lacquer thinner, and I find that it works very well. I really like this stuff. It's quite strong. Sometimes it does break when you know, I am assuming it's going to break when I bend the pieces. But that's a risk you take with anything painted in photo-etched metal. So, I actually got to shave down a piece right here. I keep cutting myself on. Ah, there we go again. See? So, yeah, that's all of them. that glue's been painted on there. So I actually didn't glue in the seat here, the bucket seat. I actually left it out. Let me see if I can actually get it out now. That's going to be the tricky part. Ah, there we go. So there we go. Now I can do the little seat belts in there. I can put the seat belts in here. And I always like to do this when I get a 48 scale kit. I like to see if a figurine will fit in it. This is from a P51. He fits perfectly in there. I also like to just see how it is, you know, as far as the scale reference goes and things like that. It's quite fun. That's just me being weird though. So, like I said, there's lots of painting to do on these side walls. I'm going to be basically just, you know, I don't have a computer at my desk, so what I'm going to do is, what I usually do is go on the computer, you find actual pictures of this stuff, and take your instructions, and I'm just going to write everywhere what color everything is supposed to be. So that's my next goal and next trip, and I painted a lot of details and things on here. You know, all the sidewalls, all the little instruments and dials, and I'm quite happy with the end result. I think it looks pretty good. And one of the things I also did is I painted the seat belts, the harnesses there, and so all I did is I glued them onto the sides like this, so they're still sticking up. And so all I need to do is just hold down on the one side that I glued. I'm just going to use a cotton swab here because this is soft, and just going to press it in here. Now, this is the first time I've ever used Eduard photo-etched metal before, actually, and I have to say it's quite nice stuff. It's very soft. So there's some seat belts in there. What I'm going to do afterwards is there's quite a bit of paint that I left on there, and I'm just going to take my hobby knife and I'm just going to scratch it off like this. And that's going to expose the silver underneath the real metal under there. So it's going to just look a little bit more realistic. So, yeah, like I said, I've never tried Eduard before. It's nice metal. It's fairly soft, which I like and I don't like. I'm one of the modelers that prefers Photo-Etch metal to be a little bit tougher. Tamiya metal is a bit too tough for my liking, but this isn't bad. This is pretty good. I liked it quite a bit. And I used the decals for the control panel here. Now the decals are printed by Microscale, and apparently Microscale decals are supposed to work exceptionally well with Microset and Microsol. So that's all I used on here, and they conformed very nicely. I'm quite happy with that. I'm just going to give them a coat of Future just to seal them in there, but like I said, I'm quite happy with the end result of that one. And there's a little bracing bar here. It kind of makes this V shape. That needs to be painted silver. That's actually part of the structure of the aircraft. But I think I'll paint it green to match the rest of the plane. Maybe silver. Who knows? I got a question a little while ago. This is just a couple days ago. Asking about chipping metal, making chip metal with a Prismacolor pencil crayon, and I happened to found one. Look, Prismacolor silver. So apparently what you're able to do, and I'm just going to sharpen this, is you just paint this on, basically. This is by far what I understand. You kind of just paint it on here like you normally would with a pencil, and it's supposed to, because it's metallic silver, it's supposed to make this very nice chipped look. So let's just see here. You know what? That's actually really nice. It's not as bright as I want it to be, but maybe you can buy brighter pencil crayon, you know, because Prismacolor has a huge wide variety of colors, but this is actually, yeah, really nice. You just draw it on here. I like that. Huh. So I'm going to go ahead and yeah, I'm going to do this to the rest of the plane. So thanks for the suggestion. It's ultimately bizarre. You know, whoever came up with this to begin with. I always wonder that with some things. It's like, how the heck did you come up with that? Like Future. Who the heck came up with Future to, you know, coat models and canopies? Like, who's the guy cleaning his floor that went, you know what, I bet this would work great looking on my, working on my canopy. It would look probably really good. You know? It's one of those things. So, what I usually do, like what I like to use for silver is Tamiya flat aluminum. That's XF16. I like it because it dries really flat and it has a nice look to it. You know, it's got this really flat look and it helps it look like it's chipped. So this is a bit dull. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and do the rest of the plane like this. I'm going to, that was my next step, was to just weather it up with little chips and stuff like that. When I'm done that, I'm going to use the Tamiya Panaline accent color black wash. I'm going to give that to the whole model, the inside and out, and then I'm going to get ready to glue the fuselage halves together. So it's going to be quite a bit of work, but yeah, I believe this was Everett who gave me this suggestion to, or question about it, and looks pretty good to me. So it's just, I'm going to actually just make this one here a bit bigger. You know, this guy's been standing around on the ground here in this particular spot. Quite fun. So, yeah, Prismacolor pencil crayon does work. Okay, I managed to somehow get everything crammed in here and glue the fuselage on. That was a mammoth project all on its own. I actually wasn't able to get this piece to fit on here. First thing I should address here, guys, is I have a brand new camera. I'm quite happy with it so far. And check this out, I can go like all in on detail and stuff. So you guys are gonna see a whole lot more than before. So you'll be able to see all the little more mistakes on it now. So it's quite a nice camera. Really happy. Just like see if it'll focus on this. There, look at that. I can read everything on this little bottle of paint. Pretty excited about this. So anyways, I'm gonna get on with the build here. It's just the models are gonna look a lot better now that you guys can see them, I think. I'm sick and tired of looking at that grainy footage. Yeah. So putting everything together inside the cockpit, for the most part, it's okay. Like I said, I wasn't able to get like this piece on here. This goes at about right here, I think, kind of about there. Couldn't get it to fit on for the life of me. It just, you know, it just wouldn't close, and there was like no place for it to fit properly. And so I just left it off. I said, "Dag with it." Kind of sad to leave it off because I like the little fire extinguisher on it. I don't know if I actually got this console to sit here properly. You can see it's kind of sitting above it there. Getting the sidewalls to fit, it was just a mess. You know, for what could have been, it's pretty complicated how they constructed it. You know, they didn't exactly go with the easiest route to take on this, you know, just making this very simple. It's kind of a flimsy fit, but it's not terrible. It is manageable. You just need to take a little extra time with it. But I threw a ton of tape and glue on this thing, and it's thankfully held, so I'm not worried about it accidentally popping out anytime soon. And then there's the floorboards here, like this goes from the back here, and this needed to be sanded down quite a bit. I'm still not happy with the fit, so I'm still going to sand it down a little bit more to get a proper fit. And it also sinks in, and I have no idea how to really fix it. I might line it with just a little bit of extra styrene in the back there, but you can see it just, it kind of sits down. So I don't know what I'm going to do. I might just leave it like this and then glue it and then just sand and fill it down. that might be just the easiest thing to do. It's not working out as well as I was hoping. And getting these to fit around in the corners, I had to actually sand down quite a bit in here to get that to fit. So let me just grab the wings here. Let's see how this will fit on here too. So this isn't bad. Yeah, it's gonna take a no, it is. There we go. Okay, it's not really a great fit, unfortunately. So it's gonna take some sanding to get it all down properly, but it's manageable, and at least it's that, you know. If it was tough and difficult to deal with, it would be more work, but I can manage that. So yeah, check that out. That's pretty cool. See how close I can get here. Look at that. You can see all the dials and everything in there. If I had better light in there, you'd be able to see inside the cockpit and everything. So yeah, I'm gonna go and glue all the wings on, all the ailerons on, and figure out what else to add. I said it. Okay, moving on. I also added on the cowl flaps here. They needed a little bit of sanding. They were a little uneven, but that was just a quick few dustings over with the sanding stick. So yeah, I'm gonna go figure out what else to build, and yeah, get all these wings glued on here. That's gonna take me, I think, a while to do.